Like I say, having invented the battering ram and mining technology, and later on the mining technology that was able to mine all kinds of steel, uh, I made a lot of things possible. Wooden frames for cars because sawmills could cut the wood efficiently and easily and cheaply. We use water power mostly. Later on, some steam power and some steam piston engines. So also some wood stuff as well. I mean, a lot of the steam cars that you see originally were actually made of wood and had very little metal parts. Later on, they were made out of metal. Anyway, though, um, as metal became more prevalent in society, um, a lot of the wood frames were anyway though. But my saw blades, the metallurgy, I think we might have used some Damascus steel for saw blades. Generally, I kept rare steel or hard to mine steel. Because I think the rock in Damascus steel is particularly hard to break or whatever, particularly tough or whatever. It's hard to mine, so it's very valuable and rare, and that's one of the reasons why I was the only one who could really have swords and stuff made out of it. Mostly I made saw blades and some chisels and some other stuff, but mostly I kept the really good steel for like saw blades and stuff that really mattered, which were used in my for sawing for car frames and stuff like that, and also wagons. And there's a lot of wagons and a lot of wagon wheels and all kinds of other stuff. And I let people play around with that. I was like, well, yeah, okay, go ahead and do it. And a wagon wheel is pretty easy to make once you have a lathe. And most lathes ran on either water power or steam power. Later on, oil, what they use is oil vapor stuff. So it vaporized the oil, fuel, whatever. And they used olive oil as well. Olive oil fuel, you'd pour the oil onto a plate and it steams the plate, and then the oil vapor goes up, and then you can run that inside of an engine. A lot of that stuff. And then you can efficiently run a factory off of that. So anyway, but mostly we ran mining equipment off of that though too, because that would run the little hammers that would chisel out the mining stuff. Because it made sense. Metal steam engine running a hammer, which is mining more metal. I mean, and it kind of just made it so they didn't wear out so quickly. So they did a lot of mining like that, and because I was an inventor of that, it made it so I could also have a lot of things made, like the swords and stuff. Well, very very long ago. Um, I don't know why more of my steam hammers weren't documented. They should have been. There should be cameras or film and glass plate film of all of that, but that might have been before I actually invested in the whole film and filming industry and stuff like that. So, or someone might have tried to just erase that part of history, because like, well, that was kind of how I built America and how Carnegie just worked for me, because yeah, you know, they say it's thousands of years ago, but to me it's only like 41 years ago, so I don't know. Anyway, but it's basically how society or civilization was able to be built was my steam hammers and my steam stuff and my battering rams technology and stuff. Because I wanted to mine. And then later on, I paid for dynamite and explosives and nitroglycerin and all that, and that kind of made mining stuff easier. But by then we also had steam hammers and steam chisels, and then later on I also paid for I wanted tools and stuff to be made, so they made tools and stuff, and that's how I own. I'm the actual owner of like it's called Howard Hughes tools and all that other stuff. That's how Howard Hughes only really worked for me, because I was owned the mines, I was mining the metal, I owned the mining machines, and was mining and just paying people. So I mean, and that's how I also paid for the nitroglycerin, the dynamite, and then DuPont, and funding all that. So I mean, it's yeah, and that's how I also built my cars, and I built my airplanes, and eventually I invested in other kinds of metals, and then they got aluminum, and airplanes were made out of wood at first, but then aluminum metal, and I invented the airplane wing myself and wanted them made and then sold, and then that's how all that happened. And that's how like I'm Egyptian or Greek king or Greek emperor Egyptian emperor, emperor of Europe or whatever, the empire, um, American emperor or whatever, owner of America. Anyway, so, and then I found ways of paying for it, making it all work, creating a society, civilization, financial system, government system, way of dealing with diseases and sickness and medical, and the creating of schools and universities and just everything. So anyway, and also the finding of drugs and paying for researchers and like the Curies and the toothpaste and water treatment facilities and just everything. Water pumps. A lot of them were my own personal design and invention because I was like, I want to invent. I want to invent. I was like, yes, I have money. I want to invent. So I was able to invent a lot of stuff, and that just led to more money and mining and finding of oil and blah, 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 blah. And the nuclear research and explosive research, dynamite. I was able to pay for that. So anyway, TNT and then nitroglycerin, and that's how I ended up owning all mines and then other stuff. So anyway, and it's very relative. Anyway, I built civilization basically myself. Well, my inventions built civilization. So anyway, so I don't know, but that's how all that works, and that's how I was able to have so many swords manufactured and then given away, and that's why there were so many sitting around doing what I consider a endurance test, which is basically leave a sword in the ground, see how long it lasts, and about 2,000 years, so, or however many years, I don't know. So anyway, from the point in time when we discovered metal and then to now, so anyway, yeah, about that. And that's how they were mine, and I just gave them away, and that's why I had 2 of everything made, one for museum, one to be given away, and as an honorable thing. But back when they were being given away, they were worth like as much as a country. I mean, you could fund a whole army or a whole civilization for like a year on the equivalent metal of one sword blade. Well, I was making money with the metal, so, and passing it out as currency. I was trying to get a currency system going. So anyway, very confusing, very relative. Funding of porcelain dishes, paying of people in China, paying of people everywhere, and just creating a financial system. So that's why a lot of those swords were mine, and I gave them to honorable people that had done a great job and been a service to humanity, because it was like my way of saying, good job, you kept my people from starving, you kept people from the stuff from getting looted, you've done a great job, you built the roads, you were great, we were an efficient team together, and it was my way of saying thank you to them, so they could have it, and they could have melted it down, but they didn't, because it was, I mean, I was paying them, the swords were on top of their normal pay, so, and they were being paid really well, like I say, if their employees got 1 cent a day or 2 cents a day, they got 7. So, and they can pay people more money or hire more people or less stuff, but very good people basically. So they worked hard and made sure everybody was fed, made sure everything ran fine, and I was very proud of my people. They did a very good job. They're very honorable people that did things within the best of their consciences and kept things just fine. So anyway, yeah, but it's complicated. I mean, it's really complicated.